Okay, I get it. Not everybody likes turkey, or chicken even, on Thanksgiving. So you might want a little bit of an alternate meal. Well, one of the best meals you can make, especially a grilled or smoked meal, is ribs. And so we're going to be taking some of those Thanksgiving flavors today in the form of a cranberry barbecue sauce, and we're going to make some Thanksgiving baby back ribs. Now I've got 2 racks of baby back ribs here, and the first thing we need to do is we need to get the membrane off the back. Done this many times, so let's get to it. What I like to do is go about 2 or 3 bones in, just get up under that membrane along one of the bones until you can get a finger or thumb up under it. Just get up under there. And sometimes it'll all come off in one pull. Other times you'll be picking at it, so don't think it has to be perfect every time. I've had to pick plenty of membranes off. But once you get this one side ready here, if you take a paper towel for grip, just grab onto that and you can pull. You can see we didn't get the whole thing in one pull. We're gonna have to do another. No problem. Just get that knife up under there. If you need to use another paper towel, do it. If not, if you got a good grip, there you go. One rack done, let's do the other. Let's go up under this bone right here. Finger under, and we'll see if we can get this whole one off. Maybe. Almost, we got a little bit at the edge here we need to get. If you're taking it off, you might as well get everything. There we go, 2 racks done. Let's season this up. And what I'm gonna be using is my smoky sweet rub. Now I'll put a link in the video description to the video where I made this. I'll also put the ingredients there. I'll put a link up at the corner of the video too, so you can check out that video. It's really one of my favorite rubs that I've made. I just really like those combinations of sweet and smoky flavor, especially on things like ribs and pork. So let's go ahead and get these seasoned up. I'm gonna turn these back over and we'll get the back side first. I'm just gonna give a nice little shake here. Don't really need a binder. There's a really good amount of moisture on these ribs, but if you want to use a binder, go ahead. I generally don't unless it really needs it. Oh, and I wanted to say thank you to those of you who've been hitting that little super thanks heart down there below the video. I appreciate it. It helps support the channel, and thank you very much. That's looking good to me. What I want to do now, though, is I want to get these up off the bottom, off of any juices that sort of cool off of these ribs. They're going to start sweating with this rub once we put them in the refrigerator, because they're going in the refrigerator overnight like I often do. I like to season the day before if possible, and I have the time today. I'm just going to pick both of these up real quick. There we go. Those are ready. They're going in the refrigerator, and we're going to move on to making our cranberry barbecue sauce for tomorrow. So for our barbecue sauce, we're starting by making cranberry sauce because we're going to use about a cup of that for the barbecue sauce. Now we're starting with 12 ounces of fresh cranberries. I have my induction burner out here so we can just kind of see it more easily. And to this, I'm going to add 1 cup of orange juice. I'm also going to add half a cup of regular table sugar, just white granulated sugar, and half a cup of brown sugar. I'm going to turn my induction burner on. We're going to go to a little bit of like medium low. We want to bring this to a simmer. That's what's going to help break these cranberries down, but it's going to take a little while, not too long, but a little while, and we don't want it to burn, so we're going to stir as we do that. Now this induction burner has a fan on this, so you might hear that. I just want to work the sugar in here to start dissolving it. If at any time this looks like it's getting too thick, like the moisture's going away, add a little water. But the cranberries will start to release their moisture as they cook. Make sure all that sugar is dissolved in our orange juice. Now this part is just a basic cranberry sauce, so you could use this for anything you might want cranberry sauce on. You can even doctor it up a little bit. I've done a bourbon cranberry sauce before, a maple cranberry sauce. This is just such a great base, and that's why we're going to be using it in this cranberry barbecue sauce. So we're just starting to get our first sort of bubbles in here, and one thing you may hear as these cranberries cook, occasionally you'll hear them pop. Some sound almost like popcorn, sometimes they just go quietly, but as they get softer, you will feel them be squishy. You can press them up against the edge of the pot, and that's when you're going to be able to start to tell that they're getting close to done, is when they're basically breaking down. But remember to stir so those sugars don't burn, and we don't want our heat up high. This is sort of a medium-low right now. There you can see some of that popping. I'm going to turn my power down to power level 3, which is sort of low, medium, low. If you're doing this on a stove with a gas burner, like I said, low, medium, low. Just starting to almost feel them soften a little bit as you put the spoon in here. Rather than getting a real tap, there's a little bit of give when the spoon touches them. They're nowhere near done yet, but we're getting there. It can take a while. It can take 10, 20 minutes sometimes. They're getting very soft. You can actually see some of them, like this one right here, starting to open up. And if you press them against the side, you will feel it now. They're starting to break down. And it's okay to help them along with that. I'm going to turn my power down to 2. And there are many variations of cranberry sauce. Like I said, you can add a lot of things to them. Really, you got to find the one you like and make it your own. And that's what I've done with this, because like I said, this is going to be a great addition and a base for this barbecue sauce. Now just take your spoon and kind of move the cranberries against the side. Start helping them along to break down. You can see that they are just breaking open and squishing. That's what we want to happen. If you have like a fine potato masher, you could even use that in here gently to help press them down to the bottom and break them down. I'm going to go down to power level 1 right now and just let these really sort of slowly simmer. So our cranberry sauce is done here. You can see it's broken down. There are nice chunks in here. It's nice and rustic. I don't like mine super smooth. If you like yours smooth, you could blend it, you could run it through a strainer, but I like it to be thick and rustic like this. Now I'm going to turn my induction burner off for a moment. The fan will stay on, that's just the way it does it. And I'm going to leave just about a cup of this in here. I'm going to remove, I don't know, it's probably about 2 cups in here, a little bit more maybe. So I'm going to leave about half of this in there. And so this is just amazing cranberry sauce that I'm going to sit on the counter to just cool, because it's going to be great later. So now we're going to use this base of the cranberry sauce to build our cranberry barbecue sauce. First thing I'm going to add to this is 20 ounces of regular old ketchup. Ketchup is often used as a base for barbecue sauce because it's easy. I'm also going to add half a cup of apple cider vinegar, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, half a teaspoon of a coarsely ground black pepper, about a tablespoon of a brown mustard, and 3 tablespoons of molasses. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to turn this on to a low heat setting, power level 2. And we're going to get in here and mix this all together. Got a lot of flavors coming together now in here. We want to bring this up to a simmer. And once it comes to a simmer, we want it to simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. That'll help bring the flavors together. And then once it's done simmering, it's just going to cool here for a little bit. Then I'm going to put it in a jar, and it's going to continue to cool in there with the lid off before I refrigerate it overnight. But let's get this made first so we can have a quick taste. So we can see we're just starting to simmer here with the barbecue sauce. And we want to keep it on this low temperature setting and stir it. There's a lot of sugars in here. You don't want high heat. You don't want to burn anything. And this is going to go, like I said, for probably 10 minutes now, just simmering. And as soon as it's done, I'm going to let it cool, put it in a jar, let it cool there, and then it's going to go in the refrigerator overnight. But you know what? First, let's get a taste. That's cranberry barbecue sauce, and it's going to be fantastic on those ribs. So I'll let this finish up, and then I will see you tomorrow out at the grill. All right, the S&S Grills kettle is up to temp. I'm going for 250 to 275 today. Our ribs have been soaking in that rub overnight, so let's go ahead and get them on and get them smoking. I'm gonna get some pieces of hickory on here to start. It's gonna be a tight fit, but we'll make it work. The slow and sear is about 3/4 full. It's really not gonna need a full load today. I don't need 7 or 8 hours of cook time out of this. These are baby backs. They'll probably be done in around 4 hours, maybe even less. I've got water in the water reservoir, and we will spritz these with plain water if we need to. So we'll come back in about an hour, check these, see if we need to spritz them, and then we'll keep on going and watch for that tenderness and decide when it's time to sauce them and wrap. So I'll adjust my vents as necessary to keep us in that 250 to 275 range, and I'll see you back here in about an hour. All right, we've been going for 1 hour. Our temp has been holding really steady, right around 275, maybe a little below that. And I've had the bottom vent fully closed the entire time. I'm just using the smoke hole on the S&S Grills kettle. That really allows you to dial in the temp. So much so that I added one of those using a kit from S&S Grills to one of my Weber kettles, the Weber Kettle Performer. Works great. So let's go ahead and check these ribs. Looking good, but I do see we're getting a little dry on top here, so I am gonna spritz with just some plain water. Just a light little spritz here, we don't need a lot. We still have water in the water reservoir. I'm not even gonna bother doing a tenderness check yet. We'll save that for the 2-hour mark, but right now let's get the lid back on and let these keep smoking. See you back here in another hour. All right, we are at the 2-hour mark. Let's check these ribs, see if they're ready to wrap. I like to do a flex test, just kind of see where they're at in that tenderness department. Boy, those are smelling great. So I'm just gonna take this front one here, get under it. Same with the back one. So for me, that amount of flex tells me that it's okay to wrap them. If I was going just straight with these no wrap, that would tell me they have quite a while to go. But we're gonna wrap these. First thing I wanna do is get a little bit of moisture down in the foil we're gonna wrap with, so just some of the plain water we're spritzing with. Get a little of our barbecue sauce on here. Cranberry barbecue sauce. Brush this on here. Get a nice coating, nice coverage. Some of those nice chunky cranberries still in there. I'm gonna double wrap these. Rack number 2. Sauce. And we have plenty of sauce left to glaze these at the end too, or when they go back on after being wrapped. All right, let's get our ribs back on. We'll come back in an hour. We'll unwrap those, put them back on the grill for just a little bit and sauce them to give them that final glaze. And I think they're gonna be pretty tender after that final cook time. But we will check for tenderness because that's what's gonna tell us when they're done. So I'll see you back here in about an hour when we take these out of the foil. All right, we are at the 3-hour mark. The ribs have been wrapped for 1 hour with that barbecue sauce and some moisture in the foil. But let's open these up, see how we're doing. Get this back one open first. And see that. Nice pull back on the bones there. You can see that. Let's get this one open. Look at that. Getting good pullback starting there too. This is a little bit of a bigger rack than the one in the back here. Want to do a bit of a tenderness check here with the probe. Those are feeling pretty good. Now I think you can see there's still quite a bit of moisture on here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let these go without any additional sauce for about 15-20 minutes. Then I'm gonna sauce them and we'll let them go probably another 20 minutes or so. We'll see how tender they are, but we're getting close here. But I wanna let this sort of set up before I add more sauce. I just want that to dry out a little bit. So I'll see you back here in about 20 minutes when we sauce these. All right, we've been going 20 minutes just sort of sitting there, letting that surface sort of dry out a bit. Let's get some sauce on there. Not gonna need a lot. We already have a good amount from the wrap. This is just that little extra glaze at the end here. I get a lot of questions about this brush. This is a high temp silicone brush from ThermaWorks. I love this thing. They have a lot of high temp gear. Spatulas, spoons, things like that, but I love this brush for basting. There's a link down in the video description to this if you're interested in checking it out. All right, let's get the lid back on. About 20 more minutes, and I think these will be done. All right, we've been going another 20 minutes with that glaze on there. Let's check these ribs. Let's do a little probing for tenderness here. Yeah, that's kind of like butter. Oh, that's feeling good. All right, I am happy with that. These are going inside. We're gonna cut in, and we're gonna have a taste. So here is one rack of our baby back ribs with that gorgeous looking and smelling cranberry barbecue sauce on there. Let's cut in. I'm gonna flip it over so I get a good cut. Turn everybody back over here. Oh, that looks good. You can see that there. Now, if you want this to be fall off the bone, I would go another half hour. I like bite off the bone. I don't like that just meat falling before you even get to it. But some people like that, so cook it more if you want fall off the bone. But let's get a taste here, see how we did. That is what I'm talking about, that bite away from the bone there. The meat just pulls away. This has amazing flavor. The combination of that rub and the sauce, but the smoke, there is really good hickory smoke flavor on this. And it really does have a hint of Thanksgiving to it with that cranberry barbecue sauce. You just get enough there to remind you of the season. Man, I'm happy with this. Totally tender meat is bite away from the bone, leaves you with a little rib sickle. I could not be happier. We're fresh into 2023, and what better way to start the year than ribs? I love doing ribs out on the smoker. We got some good weather right now, kind of threading the needle between some storms here, and I'm gonna take advantage of it. Now, we're gonna be doing some St. Louis cut spare ribs. I've got 3 racks. I've got one out here right now that will get prepped. I'll get the others done off camera. And I'm gonna do things a little bit different this time. First of all, I'm not gonna wrap these. We're gonna do some no wrap ribs. Really easy. We're just gonna have to watch them and spritz them a little bit as they're out there tomorrow on the smoker. Because yeah, we're prepping them a day before like I like to do. The other thing is we're gonna use maybe a non-traditional barbecue sauce for ribs, but I think it's gonna be good. So let's go ahead and prep these ribs right here. First thing, let's get the membrane off. Let's get this flipped over and turned around. It's gonna take a regular little table knife, get up under the membrane here, get a finger, a thumb up there, get a paper towel, it helps with the grip. And like I said, they don't always come off in one piece. Sometimes you end up picking at it. We're gonna have to do 2 pulls here. There we go. Sometimes it comes off in 1 pull, sometimes it takes 2, 3, 4. Do not feel any shame if it takes multiple times when you have to pick at it. I've had to do that many times. Now let's get this seasoned up, and what I'm gonna be using is the original rub from Postal Barbecue. It really is one of my favorite rubs from this past year. It just goes with everything. It's just a fantastic all-around rub with great flavor and a great end result. Some rubs taste great, you know, kind of you get a little taste when it's in the bottle.
This original rub tastes good in the bottle and on the finished product. So let's go ahead and give our ribs here a shake on the back. Don't need a binder, there's a good amount of moisture here still. Get our edges. All right, I am happy with that. I'm gonna finish getting the other 2 racks of ribs ready. They're gonna go on a tray in the refrigerator overnight just to sort of soak in that seasoning. And I'll see you tomorrow out at the grill. All right, the Lone Star Grills is up to temp. My target temp today is 250 degrees and I'm burning hickory. I've also got water in the water chamber as you saw earlier. So let's go ahead and get these ribs on. All right, let's get this closed up, get these smoking, and we're gonna check these in about an hour. And after that first hour, because we're not gonna be wrapping these today, we're probably gonna spritz these every 30 to 45 minutes until it's time to sauce them. These can take anywhere from 3.5 to 5 hours. That's usually my experience with St. Louis cut spare ribs. But let's get these cooking. I'll see you back here in about an hour. All right, we've been going for an hour now. Our temp's been holding nice and steady right in that 250 range, a little bit higher at times. I added a split of wood about 15 minutes ago, and that's pretty normal for this pit. About every 45 minutes to an hour, I add a split of wood. Just that sort of shorter 10-inch split. I have mine cut shorter like that, and that keeps us in that 250 to 275 range, and I can dial that down with the vent. So let's take a look at these ribs and see if we need to spritz. It's a pretty dry day today, even with the moisture in the chamber from that water, so I'm guessing we're probably gonna have to spritz. Liking the looks of those. Good color developing, but I can see on the surface there, pretty dry, so we're gonna spritz with some plain water. All right, let's get this closed up. We'll come back in another hour, give them a check, give them a spritz, and kind of see how close we are to saucing. So we just hit the 2-hour mark. Let's check our ribs. We're gonna end up spritzing them again, but I also wanna just sort of give a little bit of a flex test and take a look at them, see how we're progressing. Now we're just starting to get our first sign of meat pull back from the bones. That's not unexpected. It's only been 2 hours, but I wanna get, like I said, sort of a flex test here to see how we're doing. Got some nice bend on that one, but this is also a fairly thin rack. Let's check this front one. Oh, same thing. We got some good flex here. So what that's telling me is that probably at the 3-hour mark, we're gonna be ready to sauce these because that's some pretty good flex on 2 of those 3 racks. I didn't even try the 3rd one. So I'm gonna go ahead and spritz these, and then in 30 more minutes, I'm gonna spritz them, and then in 1 hour, I think we're gonna sauce these. All right, I'm gonna close this up. In 30 minutes, we'll spritz these. I'll show you that. And then in another 30 minutes after that, at the 3-hour mark, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be saucing these. So I'll see you back here in a bit. All right, we were at the 3-hour mark. We spritzed 30 minutes ago. Our temp's holding good, right around 250. Let's check these ribs, and I'm gonna probe for tenderness now. So what I wanna do is just get between the bones here, see how we're feeling. Still got some resistance there. So I'm gonna spritz again now, and we're gonna let these go another 30 minutes, and then we'll check and see. That might be the time to sauce them. So we'll get this closed up, and I'll see you back here in 30 minutes. So if my math is correct, we're at 3.5 hours. Let's go ahead and give this a check. I wanna do another quick probe for tenderness and decide, is it time to sauce these? Got fantastic color on them. That's feeling pretty good right there. That's feeling good. Little resistance. They're feeling pretty good, but you know what? I'm gonna give them 30 more minutes. This is all about patience. It's all about tenderness. Time plus temperature equals tenderness. Can't rush it. Sometimes it'll go quicker, sometimes not. This one's gonna take probably 4 hours to get to the stage when I sauce them. Then it'll just be a half hour after that. So we're gonna spritz these, close it up, let it go another half hour, and I'm pretty sure about then we're gonna sauce them. See you back here in 30 minutes. So we're at the 4-hour mark now. The temp's been holding really steady right around 250. Let's go ahead and check these, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna sauce these now. Let's just do a quick probe here. That's feeling much better. So I think I mentioned that the sauce I'm gonna be using is a little different. It's not something I've usually used on ribs. In fact, you more commonly find it in pulled pork. That's what I've used it for many times. And it's a Carolina-inspired mustard sauce from Q42. So it's a lot thinner than your traditional sort of barbecue sauce you might use on ribs. But you know what? It tastes so good on pulled pork, I want to give it a try on here. So I'm going to go ahead and close this up and let these have 30 more minutes, and then we'll be done. Once again, I'm delving into math here. I think we're at the 4.5-hour mark. Been sauced for half an hour here. I mean, the ribs have been sauced. I haven't been drinking at all. So let's go ahead and take a look, see how we're doing. 99.9% sure we're taking these off right now. Oh, those are some beauties. With the tenderness level we were at half an hour ago, I'm confident these are ready. So I'm gonna get these off, get them inside, and we're gonna have a taste. So here are our ribs, our St. Louis cut spare ribs with that Postal Barbecue original rub on them and the Carolina-inspired mustard sauce from Q42. These came out looking absolutely gorgeous. Total cook time about 4.5 hours, which is pretty standard for St. Louis ribs. And these were non-wrapped ribs. We didn't wrap these at any point, just kept spritzing them to keep moisture there and also moisture in the cook chamber. They're looking good. I'm ready to cut in. Let's take this top rack and I'll move the others out of the way. Cleaned up my board a little bit here. Let's flip it over and get it dirty again and cut some ribs. Flip back over. Let's see. That is looking good. Nice and juicy there. And I say it every time I make ribs, I don't like fall off the bone. If you like these fall off the bone, I would go at least 30 more minutes. And for me, if really you're doing fall off the bone, I really do like to wrap ribs if you're trying for that because you just hold more moisture. These though, look perfect to me. I like bite away from the bone ribs. Let's give it a taste. That's what I want, that nice clean bite away from the bone. The flavor on these is amazing. That clean bite away from the bone is exactly what I want. The rub, the sauce on this, really interesting with that Carolina-based mustard sauce. I haven't done that on ribs for a long time. I think I did it quite a while ago. It's a really nice flavor, a little bit more of that tang than you'd get, say, in a tomato-based sauce. Really liking it. All in all, a totally successful rib cook today.
Okay, this may not be something you think or that you hear often, but sometimes people say, I'm tired of ribs. Okay, they may like the taste of ribs, but maybe they're just a little bit tired of that presentation of a slab of ribs or some long bones of ribs. Well, here we go. These are cross-cut St. Louis ribs, often called riblets. You can see they've got the bones right here running this way. This is very similar to, say, beef flank and ribs, where it's cross-cut across the bone. And this is just sort of a fun way to be able to prepare ribs without it being full ribs. Now I'm going to be doing these tomorrow, so I'm going to season them up today. They're going to soak in that flavor overnight in the refrigerator, but I don't want to season them on the tray here. This is the tray they're going to go in the refrigerator on. And
it's kind of constrained here. There's just going to be rub going everywhere. So for this type of rib and this many, I like to use a big bowl. So let's transfer them in there. The rub I'm going to be using today is my smoky sweet rub. I make this myself, and I'll put a link in the video description and up in the corner of the video here to a video that shows you how to make it. All I'm going to do, start adding our rub, tossing everybody around. I'm going to get a good coating on everybody here. All right, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Let's get these racked up. So we're just going to fit everybody in here. And I like to use a raised rack like this when I'm essentially dry brining the ribs overnight, because it keeps them up out of any juices that happen to come out of there that sweat out. I really do like using these riblets on occasion. They're just kind of fun. So these are all good. They're going in the refrigerator, and I will see you tomorrow out at the grill. All right, the Lone Star Grill's offset is up to temp. My target temp today is 250 degrees. I have water in the water chamber, just half a gallon, and I'm burning hickory. So let's go ahead and get our riblets on. Make sure everybody has room here. All right, let's get this closed up and get smoking, and we're going to come back in about an hour and check them and probably spritz them, see if they need that, but I'm guessing they will. It's kind of dry today. I'll see you back here in about an hour. All right, we've been going for 1 hour. Let's go ahead and check these riblets, see if we need to spritz them. They are looking and smelling great. They are looking a little dry on the surface, so let's go ahead and give them a spritz with just some plain water. So let's go ahead and close this up, and we'll come back and check them in an hour and see if they are ready to wrap. All right, we are at the 2-hour mark. The pit temp's been holding really steady, about 250, 260-ish. So let's go ahead and check our riblets and see if it's time to get them in some foil with some sauce. Looking good. Let's see here. The way these are looking now, I am going to go ahead and get them in a foil pan with some sauce and a little bit of moisture. I want these to really tenderize, but I don't want them to dry out anymore here like this. I don't want to have to keep spritzing them. And every cook is different. You have to adjust. This may take more than an hour in the foil. It could take an hour and a half. In fact, I think I'm going to give it 90 minutes before I even check it in the foil. So let's go ahead and get these in some sauce. Going to add just some of our spritzing liquid or plain water here, maybe about half a cup or so. And I've got this triple B sauce from Fire and Water Cooking. Get everybody coated here. Roll everybody around. Let's get these back on the grill and let them go for 90 minutes. See you back here when it's time to check these. All right, we are at the 90-minute mark. Let's check our riblets. Let's see how 90 minutes in foil have done. Just want to see how we're feeling here tenderness-wise. That's feeling pretty good. All right, we are ready to go back on the grill, and I'm going to give them a little top layer of a different sauce. We'll let that set for about 30 to 45 minutes, then everything will be done. So let's get these back on the grill. So my top glaze today is going to be a rib rack bourbon barbecue sauce. I'm going to get a little bit on everybody. We'll brush it around. I'm going to get a good coating of this top sauce. Nothing wrong with using 2 different barbecue sauces at 2 different stages of a cook. Layers of flavor. All right, let's get this closed up, and I think I'm going to let them go for 45 more minutes. All right, we've been going 45 minutes back on the grill, so that's a total of 4 hours and 15 minutes. 2 hours at the beginning, 90 minutes in the foil pan with some sauce, and this final 45 minutes with that glaze on it. Let's take a look, but they're going to be coming off. I am loving the color on those. And from the tenderness stage they were at before they went on for this last 45 minutes, I know they're going to be done to my liking here. I don't like them fall off the bone. I like them bite away from the bone. And since these are riblets, they get heat around more of the meat more quickly. So I just find they don't take quite as long as a full rack, but I still want them tender. And these are looking fantastic. They're coming off. I'll see you inside. So here is a plate of our riblets. And just so we can see again here, these bones are running all the way through. Sometimes you will see rib tips, which is the meat off the top of a spare rib when you cut it down to make St. Louis ribs. You'll see those sold as riblets, but these are actual full St. Louis racks for whatever reason cut across the bone. I see these commonly in Costco, and that's where I got these. And again, I just really like these. So let's go ahead and kind of cut a couple of these up and have a taste. We'll go ahead and make our board dirty here. You can see they're just like a nice little mini rib section here. Nice and juicy. Let's go ahead and have a taste. Just the way I like it, bite away from the bone, not fall off the bone. If you want these fall off the bone, I think I would go 2 full hours in the foil, and then you might go a full hour at that final stage with the glaze, but this is how I like them. Great flavor from the combination of that rub and those 2 sauces. The triple B sauce has a chance to penetrate in there with the water in the foil pan, and that top glaze of the rib rack barbecue sauce, fantastic. Super flavorful with that hickory smoke, and if you get a chance to make riblets, I'd say go ahead. Ribs are on the menu, and so that means I need to make a rub and a glaze for them. Now the glaze is going to be super simple, and the rub's going to be super simple. So let's get started on that rub first. Now I'm making more than I'll need for these 3 racks of baby backs that we're going to be doing tomorrow, because we're going to season them today, put them in the refrigerator, smoke them up tomorrow. So there'll be plenty of rub left over after I season these. We're starting with a cup of kosher salt, a cup of a coarsely ground black pepper, a tablespoon of chili powder, and a tablespoon of smoked paprika. We'll call this our smoky chili rub. Let's get this mixed up in here. It'll also get mixed up more once I put it into its shaker bottle and give it a shake. All right, that's looking good. Let's get our ribs out here. So I have 3 racks of baby back ribs here. I think you can see this one's a little smaller than these 2, but it's really not going to matter, because what we're going to do is we're going to cut these in half, because we're going to be hanging these on the Hunsaker drum smoker. And I just really like hanging half racks rather than whole racks. There's far less of a chance of it getting too tender and falling with just the weight of half a rack. The other thing is we're just leaving the membrane on here. That gives a little extra strength on the back side when you're hanging ribs. And I've never found it to be a problem when I serve them after that. So let's go ahead and get these cut in half first. Get our little one here. We're going to go just about halfway, probably right here. I'm just using a kitchen scissors. Same thing on this one. Go about halfway. Thing here, kind of eyeball it. Put some of that smoky chili rub in a shaker. Let's get it on here. Got good surface moisture. I don't think we need a binder. So we're just going to start seasoning up. And we'll just move everybody around as we need to season them up. Get this little guy done first here. Get a little on the back, not too much. We got that membrane on there. but we want to give some. All right, these are looking good. What I want to do now is I want to get these up off the bottom of the tray and onto a rack. I like doing that because when you add rubs, especially with salt, the meat can sweat, and I don't want it sitting in the juices here if any develop. So I'm going to get the rack under here. Shift a few to make some room here so I can slide the rack under. All right, these are going in the refrigerator overnight, and we're going to move on to making our glaze. So for our glaze or barbecue sauce, whatever you want to call it, we're not starting from scratch. This is one of those glazes or barbecue sauces that are doctored up, and you start with a base barbecue sauce. I'm just using a plain old Sweet Baby Ray's as my base today. You can pick any barbecue sauce you want. I'm using this one because it is really just a basic barbecue sauce. And this is 18 ounces we're starting with today. Next up, we're adding a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. This brings a nice little tang to this. Our final ingredient, about a 1/4 cup of honey. I'm using this chaparral honey that I found, but you can use any honey that you want. I'm just going to eyeball about a 1/4 cup here. Now I'm just going to get in here with my whisk and slowly bring this together. That honey is going to take a little bit to mix in. We sort of thinned it out with the apple cider vinegar and thickened it up a little bit again with some honey. So just take your time here. Once it starts incorporating, you can speed up a bit. Let's get a little taste. That's really good. All right, I'm going to transfer this to a container. It's going to go in the refrigerator overnight, just hang out there. And tomorrow, when the time is right, we'll glaze the ribs with this. So next time I see you will be tomorrow out at the Hunsaker Vortex Drum Smoker. All right, the Hunsaker Vortex Smoker is up to temp. I'm actually going a little lower today, between 225 and 250 for these hanging ribs. Now I've got water in there in an absurdly large water pan. My smaller pans, I ran out, didn't even realize it. So I've got sort of a turkey roasting pan in there, a foil one. We're also burning hickory today. So let's go ahead and get our ribs on. And I put the hooks about 2 or 3 bones down. I'm feeling fairly confident today. I don't think I need to double hook these. All right, let's get this closed up, get smoking. We'll come back in an hour and check them and probably spritz. All right, we are 1 hour into this cook on a gorgeous summer day. It's like the second day of summer today, I think. So let's go ahead and open up the Hunsaker Vortex Drum Smoker and see how our ribs are doing. Liking the looks of those. They are smelling great. And from the looks of them, I can tell we don't need to add any moisture. There's plenty of surface moisture, a lot of moisture in the chamber, which is great. So we're just going to close this up and let these keep going. I'm in no rush today. That's why I'm doing that 225 to 250 on these ribs. The Hunsaker really likes 275 as a temperature, so I've had to sort of dial the temps down a little bit by using the lower vent a little bit below the run setting, and the upper vent is between 1/4 and 1/2 inch open. So let's get this closed up and we'll come back in another hour and see how they're doing. All right, we're at the 2-hour mark. Temp's been holding really steady in that 225 to 250 range. Let's go ahead and take a look at our ribs, and we're going to take a closer look at. We'll lift a rack out, kind of see how it's doing tenderness-wise. Man, those are looking nice. So let's go ahead and lift a rack out here. We're just getting a little bit of pullback, but not much from the bones, but I just want to do a quick probe for tenderness here. Yeah, good amount of resistance still. So I think I'm going to let these go for another hour before I glaze them. I'll see you back here in 1 hour. We are at that 3-hour mark. It is time to glaze these baby back ribs. Oh, these are looking stupendous. Is stupendous a word you can use in barbecue? I'm using it. I'm just going to glaze them on a tray right here. Get a few off at a time. They're looking really good. Not going to bother glazing the back side here with the membrane, just this front side. These are going to be some mighty fine ribs. I just love hickory smoked baby back ribs. All right, I'm going to get this closed up. I'm going to let these keep smoking. We'll check them in an hour, but I think they're probably going to be done right about then. All right, we are at that 4-hour mark now. Let's go ahead and check them, but I am pretty sure these are ready. Let's get a big one up here to have a closer look. Going to do a little probing for tenderness here. Oh, yeah. That is feeling good. All right, I'm going to get these off here. We're going to get them inside, and we're going to have a taste. Well, here it is, our tower of baby back ribs. 6 half racks, 3 total racks. Color just turned out perfect for me. The smell off of these is incredible. A lot of that great hickory smell, because when you have a moist environment there and you have smoke, smoke loves moisture. Those smoke particles just cling on to that. So there's a lot of good hickory smell coming off this. Hopefully the flavor's there too. But you know what? I'm going to move off 5 of these half racks, and we'll go with the one on the bottom to cut into. Now, before I cut into this, I want to point out, not a mistake, but just something silly that I did that I didn't have to do. If you look back at the drum, when I have these hanging in there, there's a little sort of 3-point thing that goes on the top. That's also for hanging. That's removable. I didn't need to leave that in there, yet I left it in there, and it just blocks access because I was hanging these ribs around the outer rim. I could have taken that out. Didn't think about it. Yeah, I screw up sometimes. All right, let's roll this over and cut some ribs. Yes. Oh, look at that. That is a nice juicy rib. Now, I always say that I like my ribs bite off the bone, not fall off the bone. If you want these fall off the bone, I would go another half hour, maybe 45 minutes, and I think they'd be closer to what you like. But really, you just got to keep checking that tenderness. That's what will tell you when they're done to your satisfaction. But let's see how they taste. Wow, these turned out fantastic. That wonderful hickory smoke flavor is there. So is that honey-infused barbecue sauce that we made, that really simple doctored barbecue sauce. And that rub, that sort of smoky chili powder rub, not too much heat, just a little bit. Loving these.